speaks to marketing. You know, you can never do enough marketing. You got to pound the pavement. And
So what's more nerve-wracking, playing in the World Series or launching a beverage line?
probably launching a beverage.
Is there anything new or exciting that's happening with BackFlip?
Well, should I say stick around?
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Behind the Flavors, a podcast brought to you by Beck Flavors and hosted by yours truly, Michael Schubert. Today we have another special customer episode. Before today's guest made a name for himself in the beverage world, he won the hearts of St. Louis baseball fans alike, making the impossible look routine with his style of play and his iconic backflip. He had 13 Gold Gloves, 15 All-Star Game appearances, 1 World Series championship. He holds the MLB records for most assists with 8,375 and most double plays with 1,590 by a shortstop. So go crazy, folks. Go crazy. We have the wizard, Ozzie Smith. How you doing today, Ozzie?
I'm doing great, Mike. How you doing?
Oh, we're living the dream, definitely.
Just say, man, that's a throwback jersey right there now.
I know, and it's my favorite. And every time I put it on, I get compliments.
Yes.
I'm assuming you didn't wear this jersey.
No, I didn't wear it. I'm not that old. But,
no worries.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I love this, and ironically, it was a giveaway that I love, and ironically, it's a freight company that we're familiar with called Old Dominion as well.
Gotta get them in there.
Yeah, can't forget them. We got to help them out as well. So let's kind of just jump in right off the top. You know, the name BackFlip is kind of obvious, right? But how did the iconic flip become your signature move when you take the field?
Well, growing up in Southern California, I lived across the street from a wood factory where they built pallets. And so we used to go over and tumble in the sawdust. And we would put planks between the stacks of wood and use that as our diving board. And then on Thursdays, we'd go to Family Fun Center where they had trampolines in the ground. So we were pretty much self-taught daredevil kids growing up in South Central Los Angeles. And we did all the things that kids, we spent a lot more time outside.
Yeah.
You know? So we did a lot of daredevil things like hopping the 4-foot fence and stuff with the spikes on top. If you didn't make it, wasn't pretty.
It wasn't pretty. Tumble over it.
So you learn to jump high.
Yeah.
I played a lot of basketball in high school, and when I made it to the big leagues in 1978, my rookie year, we had to run 2 miles after we finished working out. Well, I wasn't big on running long distances. You know, I was a sprinter.
I'm with you, man. I'm with you there.
So I was a young guy at the back of the pack, and I played with guys like Gaylord Perry and Dave Winfield. They were all giving me a hard time about being the young guy and being at the back of the pack. So to show them that I wasn't tired, I did a round-off backflip, which I learned as a kid. One of my teammates, Gene Tennis, had girls that were involved in gymnastics. So he wanted me to show them at some point during the season that I could do that. Well, we were never able to do it during the season, so the final day of the season, which was Fan Appreciation Day, they thought it would be a good idea for me to do it going out to my position. Now, I did it very reluctantly because in San Diego, the entertainment was the chicken. And I certainly didn't want to show up the chicken and stuff, but...
You did.
I did. That day I did,
Yeah.
And lo and behold, I did it. People liked it so much, they asked me to do it opening day the following year.
Okay.
And lo and behold, a trademark was born.
Oh, and that's very interesting because that trademark carried through your baseball career, and then it kind of moved into what you're doing after baseball.
That's right. It just kind of, it was just one of those things, I guess you could say that certain things are meant to be. And you never know. You never go into a situation saying to yourself that, hey, you know, that backflip thing's going to turn into something. Yeah, you never know. And as it's turned out, you know, that being my trademark now, when I decided to get involved in golf, and that's really where all of this started for me, met with the guys here at Beck's, and they said, hey, we'd like to do a drink for all your participants. They did a drink for all the participants, which was a Paloma, which I didn't know a whole lot about.
Oh, so that isn't your like favorite drink or anything like that?
Well, it's one of the favorites now.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't a big drinker. But for golfers, you know, this being a beer town, it's hard to be able to get away from beer. And I thought it was a great idea, and people liked the drink so much, they started asking me, well, where can we get it? So that's where the idea really came from in my golf tournament, where we had, for all the participants, everybody got one of the drinks, and that was the beginning. And it's been one of the most interesting things for me since I've been away from the game, because it's fascinating watching how people are able to create flavors. This has been one of the best things that's happened to me, because I can sit in meetings now, and it's such that you can go back, and 15 minutes later, if you don't like a flavor, 15 minutes later,
you got something completely different.
So
which kind of is like full circle to what you're saying is, you didn't even go into it being like, this is going to be my trademark. Well, it's the same thing. You come in with an idea of a beverage, and then once you get in that room over there with all the experts, things just start happening, and then, you come out with something you never thought you would have.
That's right.
But it actually turns out to be a staple in the market and the brand itself.
It's the brand. It's a way of continuing my brand. And, I want it to, of course, be the very best that it can be. And I think with Beck Flavors being a partner, we're being pretty creative with some things that I think people enjoy.
Yeah, definitely. And me personally, I even enjoy them as well. The spice pear mash is definitely one of my favorite RTDs right now. No doubt about it, hands down. Just kind of to segue a little bit more, when you thought about the Paloma, or they brought it to you, what kind of taste experience did you have in mind? It sounds to me like you didn't really have an experience in mind, and you kind of just learned about all that flavor as they brought that to you.
Yeah, we just kind of went off of the Paloma was the first one, and then we just went off the other flavors, things that I like, cherry lemonade. Anytime you get it's fruity. I'm a fruity guy, so
same.
All of the flavors were flavors that I liked, and here we are.
Yeah, so when we talk about that first experience with Beck, and you're doing the golf event, how did they approach you with that? Or did somebody help you get in touch with Beck, and then we were kind of like, let's help out with this event?
Well, I think that here again, the synergy. It was one of those things that's very local, and this town is one where people are very interested in giving back. That's what makes this town so great. Everybody, from a local standpoint, want to be able to help out and give back. And this was kind of Beck's way of giving back to the community, because everything that we do here with the drinks and stuff, everything's local.
Yeah.
So it just made it a very natural transition.
Yeah, we're from the Lou, and we're proud, and that's definitely something that everybody that's from St. Louis holds very true to their heart. So when you started getting into the flavor development, right, and you started tasting all these different things, what was like the biggest thing that you learned about quickly that like shocked you when it came to the beverages?
Well, the fact that they could create it so quickly. You sit down and once I had a chance to tour the facility and look in the back room at how the chemistry of all of this works, it's very fascinating. And to this day, it's still fascinating watching at how quickly things can come together here. You have an idea, you throw the idea out there, and before you know it, people here in the room can make it happen.
Yeah, and then so you're tasting and they're throwing these things at you, was there just like an aha moment? So in my prior life, I was a teacher, so we call it that light bulb moment, right, in the kids' eyes when you know that they've remembered something. But was there like an aha moment where you're like, that's the drink, that's the one right there?
Well, I mean, all of it it's good, and because they can tweak it so quickly, it's too sugary, too tart, too whatever. You can get it to exactly the way you want it. And that's what's so nice about having a facility like this, that it changes it can change every second.
Very much like baseball there too, right? Very,
right.
Very ever evolving,
It's
very
kinda,
quick.
Yeah, it's kind of improvisational.
Correct.
And I've always believed that improvisation is a great asset to have. And certainly in a place like this, improvisation is a great asset.
Yeah, and you've already touched on this part too a little bit, but when you talked about loving cherry lemonade, but how much of you do you feel like the flavors carry in BackFlip? Do they carry a lot of that with you?
Well, I think that, when you think about me and you think about BackFlip, you think of energy, and I think the flavors that we have are flavors that pop. They have energy to them, and they give you that happy feeling.
They definitely do, and of the beverages that I like of them, which is all of them, I think that they have like a simple complexity to them, right?
That's
like
right.
They come off simple in their name, but then when you taste them, there's these layers of complex flavors, particularly for me because it's my favorite in that pear mash. You get a couple of these flavors like kind of working together.
You like whiskey, don't you?
I do. I am a little bit more. I lean towards it, but I am nobody that snubs any of them. I like the tequila, the Paloma one. I like that cherry lemonade. That cranberry screwdriver, different, and it's good.
It's good.
Yeah.
And that's the flexibility that we have in a place like this to be able to create flavors like that, and hopefully as we go forward here, we'll be able to create some flavors that nobody's ever thought of.
Yeah, so then we finalized the formula here at Beck. You're like, hey, these ones are great. We'd love to start taking it to the market, right? What's that process then look like for you? What did that look like stepwise getting there?
Well, first of all, playing in a baseball town like this, it makes, and having a name for yourself and having been here and played for 15 years, makes it a little easier getting into places. It's nice to be able to go to someone, a retailer, and say, hey, we have something that we'd like to get into this place, sort of like at the ballpark,
Yes.
which is kind of hard to do. But, I think my relationship that I've had with the organization and stuff has allowed me to do that because everybody can't get in there. And so that's been part of the process, of having a name and a respectable name, and that's what I think that's what's important about being associated here with Becks. They're very respected in the community, and we all do it together. It's nice. It's nice to have an association with an organization that is looked upon very highly.
Yeah, and I think that's a testament to you though too, Ozzie, because it's kind of a theme through a lot of our podcast episodes that we have where, relationships are so important to Beck. We always believe that good relationships and good people make good business. But it's interesting to see how that stands so true to you because even your relationships in a past life still made their way into helping facilitate this new journey you've been on.
Yeah, it's, that's the thing that when you're going through it, you want to have relationships develop relationships that last a lifetime. And you're very fortunate if you have a relationship where you can do business together and do good things and make people feel good. And this has certainly been one of those experiences for me.
So let's talk about some of the people of St. Louis, some of the response you've gotten. What is some of the responses you've gotten on the drinks? Have you gotten any fun reactions or like a favorite review you've heard of from anybody?
It's been great. One of the things too, now for me, it created a lot of work.
Yeah, you thought it'd be easy owning a brand, didn't you?
But you got to go out and you got to sell. And it's just like with baseball. I've signed a lot of autographs and I've met a lot of people. And you'd be amazed at how many people come up to me every day and say, hey, I've never seen you in person. This is neat. And I'm thinking that I've been here so long that I've met everybody.
True.
But I think it speaks to marketing. You can never do enough marketing. Because there's always somebody that didn't see it or didn't hear about it, and you'd be amazed. There are a lot of people now, as long as we've had it, still didn't know that I had a drink.
Yeah, and same way for me, like when I'm sharing with my friends and stuff, I'm like, y'all, I gotta try this. They didn't even realize it either, but it also kind of what you're saying with marketing, that not only is it making the beverages taste great, but what a lot of people don't understand is, the beverage industry is very competitive.
Yes.
Marketing's really how you can set yourself apart there, outside of just the way they taste.
That's right. You gotta pound the pavement. And I've been to, you name the town here in Missouri. I've been there, and it's nice to see the reception that people have because baseball is such a big part of this region. and it brings people out, and it gives me the opportunity to introduce them to my brand.
Yeah. And then so if you were talking to somebody else, maybe even like another former athlete, and they were like, hey, I want to make a beverage, what would some advice that you would give them there?
Well, certainly being able to come here and sit down one-on-one with them, with everyone here at Beck's, giving them your idea and let them run with it, because I think creativity is what this place is all about too, being able to create something that's new and different and exciting.
Yeah, you're almost like an artist when you come in here. Although you might not be the vehicle itself, you can just put those ideas out there and then it comes in front of you and you're like, wow, I didn't realize it is as custom as you guys say
That's
it
right.
is too.
You can customize anything that you want from a flavoring standpoint, and that's what's been so fascinating for me to watch.
So let's pivot away from the RTDs a little bit. Is there anything new or exciting that's happening with BackFlip?
Well, should I say stick around?
You can.
We're always looking for bigger and better things, and there's one thing that we're doing now that we're going to be able to bring to you here very shortly.
I'd love to hear that. So for the folks that want to follow along, is there a place that they can specifically go to hear about any exciting news with BackFlip?
Well, PGA Reach is really where all this started for me. So you can go to PGAReach.com or OzzieSmithGolf.com to find out what we're doing and what we continue to do.
Ozzie, I love the way that you kind of touch on the PGA Reach there. Can you talk about a little bit more about how deeply involved you are and how that journey started for you too?
Well, PGA Reach, I wanted to find a way. Let me back up. First of all, I never played golf. I grew up in Southern California, as I said, and I'd never picked up a golf club. It was either baseball, basketball, or football in the inner city. And once I started playing golf, I fell in love with it. And I realized that this would be a great way for young kids in the inner city to learn discipline, respect, all of the things that
patience
that life bring forth. And it was through that a friend of mine came to me and said, hey, we'd like for you to be the president of the Gateway chapter of PGA. And I said, well, wait a minute, I don't want to be a president. What does that consist of? But anyway, he talked me into it, and he wanted to bring more awareness to what they were doing here in the community. And it's been 15 years now that I've been president, with my long-range goal of building a 9-hole multi-recreational facility at Carter Carburetor, which is right across the street from Herbert Hoover's Boys Club. And I'm proud to say that we have finally raised enough money now to put some shovels in the ground. So hopefully within the next year and a half, we'll be able to say that, mission accomplished.
Yeah, that's exciting.
And so it was all done to give kids another alternative, another way out. And it's not just the game of golf itself, it's the business of golf as well. It's a multi-billion-dollar industry. And so through that, we've been able to help some kids find another avenue in life. The one thing that's probably more fulfilling for me at this particular stage is that the veteran part of this thing, because as an athlete, when you retire, the thing that you miss the most is the camaraderie. You find something else to compete in. But for veterans, it's the same way. When you come back from war, a lot of these guys are shut-ins, and they miss the camaraderie with their friends. And through golf, we've been able to get some of those guys back out and
feel the love.
The love that you had when you were with your friends and stuff. And I'm very proud of that. That's been one of our pillars, and it continues to grow.
Yeah, and giving purpose back to people like that who were veterans and have been through so much, and even giving purpose to kids, even though it might not be this huge purpose that carries them through life, but a purpose of here's an outlet for me, right? Here's an outlet to where I can help relieve some of those traumas or past things that I've been through, and stress.
And I use, I have a simulator downstairs, and I just go down sometimes and just hit balls, and it's very relaxing and very therapeutic for me.
Yeah. Can you also touch a little bit more? I know that BackFlip itself, they are in unison with the PGA Outreach, and I believe there's something where that buying BackFlip can help out with some of these things that you're doing for veterans and kids.
It's exactly, if you purchase any of the BackFlip brand, part of the proceeds go back to PGA Reach and to veterans. And here again, it's about community, about being able to give something back. And the greatest asset that you can have in life is the ability to give back. And this is one way that I'm doing it. It's the way Beck Flavors are doing it, and it doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing, and it's one of the reasons I love this company so much is not only do they give back to us and care so much about us, but they push that on through the community and even customers.
That's right.
Like we are so big about doing anything we can to help, whether that be things like this or, developing new, cool, fun ideas, wherever we can assist, that's always our goal.
Yeah.
But, Ozzie, we couldn't have you on without talking a little bit of baseball. Okay. All right. So can you tell me what's one of your favorite memories or stories from your time with the Cardinals?
Well, going back to before I got here, I got traded for probably one of the most talented guys to ever don a pair of spikes, a guy by the name of Gary Templeton. And I'm sure that there are a lot of people in this town that were saying, we traded Gary Templeton for who? I think about this all the time, and I certainly can understand that because he was a true 5'2" player. Could hit with power, hit for average, had a great throwing arm, could run like a deer, and still the only guy in the National League to get 100 hits from both sides of the plate.
Oh man, that's impressive.
So when you're traded for a player of that caliber, there's always a lot of pressure coming here. But I can remember when Whitey came to recruit me, he said that all I want you to do is be yourself. He said, if you come to St. Louis and you play for the Cardinals, there's no reason that we can't win at all. He said, you're the missing piece to the puzzle. And that was back in the winter of 1981. And then 1982, of course, we go to the World Series and we win the World Series against the Milwaukee Brewers. That certainly was one of the highlights. My goal as a player was to come here and hopefully win myself a Gold Glove and a Silver Slugger award at some point in some time.
You ever achieved that one?
Well, I did that once or twice. Winning the Gold Glove was more of a natural thing, but winning that Silver Slugger, I think, was as important to me because I didn't want to be noted as just a one-dimensional player. I wanted to be a complete player, which I think that at the end of my career, I could honestly say to myself that I was more of a complete player because in 1985, I met a guy by the name of Mackie Shilstone who took Michael Spinks from a light heavy to a heavyweight to help me get a little bit stronger. So you could back the defense up, and I had learned to pull the ball. Playoffs 1985 against the Dodgers, they'd always pitch me in. I got lucky and hit a ball out of the ballpark where the great Jack Buck's on the mic and Smith corks one down the line. It may go crazy, folks, go crazy. The Cardinals have won the game by the score of 3-2 on a home run by the Wizard. I tell you that story here. I'm kind of
you're good
from place to place here, but that was a great moment for me too, and I was fortunate enough that the great Jack Buck was on that call. Now, with that call, I go out in the community and I sign autographs. And I'm sitting at a table one day, and this little kid by the name of Wade comes to the table. He could barely look over the table. And he puts his card up there, and I'm signing his card, and his mom said, do it for him. So he reaches over, he looks up, and he goes, Smith corks one down the line. May go crazy, folks, go crazy. The Cardinals have won the game by the score of 3-2 on a home run by the Wizard. She said every time that they got in the car, they had to put that tape in. So he learned that verbatim. And I think it speaks to how much baseball runs through the veins of people here in this town.
Gives me like chills thinking about it, man.
And it's great for me as a retired player to be to have been able to do something that create memories that last a lifetime. Even now, when people come up to me and they say, hey, you were such a part of my life growing up because I got to spend time at the ballpark with my grandfather, my mother, my father. I mean, it's just a real blessing to have had the ability to do that. that is the thing that really stands out now. And then, of course, in 1987, I won my one and only Silver Slugger Award, which is the award that's given to the player with the best offensive numbers at that position.
Yeah.
So I was able to
do what you set out to do.
What I set out to do, win myself some gold gloves and a Silver Slugger.
Yeah.
So,
and you even say like that lasted a lifetime, that NLCS memory, but like I would say that lasts through the lifetime because, it's something that and, I wouldn't say I'm the biggest baseball fan in the world and know every stat ever of Ozzie, but I know that. My dad made it a point to show me that when I was growing up, which again speaks to how ingrained St. Louis is with people like yourself, the Cardinals, and America's, pastime, which is baseball. So let's do some like kind of rapid fire Q&As, okay? So what's your favorite stadium to play in?
Of course, Busch Stadium is
I knew that
my
was
favorite to play in. Sometimes when you're playing, you don't really know what stadium you do well in. When you're an everyday player, you're just playing every day. And I didn't find out until after I retired that, my numbers were very good in Philadelphia.
Oh, really?
For whatever reason. I was never a stat rat,
Yeah.
because my job was to go out there and cover the mistakes that a pitcher made every day, and that's what I concentrated on.
And command that infield and make sure everybody's where they need to be.
Yeah.
Definitely understand that. So we have a fun question we always ask people who apply at Beck. It usually happens in one of your interviews, but if you were a flavor, what flavor would you be?
I don't know. I guess I would probably be, I want to say vanilla, but I love lemon.
Yeah?
Lemon is one of my favorite flavors. So I'd say if we could create a vanilla lemon.
Well, we can create it for you, Ozzie, no problem. And if you would like to learn any more about a lemon vanilla flavor or any other flavors, you can always go to www.beckflavors.com and hit that request a sample, as well as subscribe to our newsletter. There you can learn all new trend information that's going on and all the good happenings that are happening here at Beck Flavors. So let's follow up on that. What's your favorite cocktail? Besides BackFlip, of course.
Besides BackFlip. As I've gotten older, cognac is probably a after dinner drink for me.
Yeah.
If I had to choose one.
Kind of resonates, goes down smooth, clears out that palate a little bit.
That's right.
Definitely, I understand that. So what's more nerve-wracking, playing in the World Series or launching a beverage line?
Probably launching a beverage line. You're used to
Yeah, you're in your element in the World Series.
There, but when you're outside of your element, there's always some apprehension. Whatever it is, you want to do it, and you want to do it well. And this is no different. You got a reputation, and you want to maintain that reputation.
Yeah, and it's kind of full circle to even golf and those values you're teaching the kids is even though you don't feel comfortable doing it, you're growing.
That's
right.
right.
Like anytime you're in uncomfort, that means that you're growing as a person.
That's
so
right.
That's awesome. What's your favorite city for food when you were on the road back in the day?
Well, Montreal, there was a little place there that had a place called Pima Rouge, and it was northern Chinese food that was just, the food was just spectacular. And so that was always one of my favorite spots on the road to go to. Of course, New York is always
A little melting pot of everything.
a little bit of everything, but Montreal was probably my favorite.
Your favorite? Well, duly noted. When I get up there, I'll brush up on my French and then I'll find that restaurant for you. So what humbles you more, golf or baseball?
Golf, probably. Here again, you want to do it and you want to do it well. And you have to I had to approach this the same way I approach baseball. It's not something you just get up and you're good at it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got to work at it. And so I spent a lot of time hitting balls, and I took a lot of time fielding ground balls, every day. Hitting golf balls every day. I try and do something every day that's going to help my game.
Definitely. And then let's kind of top it off with who made you laugh the most in that Cardinal dugout?
Well, there are a lot of guys that you get a chance to play with. Joaquin Andujar was one of those people that that brought a lot of laughs to it. I played with a guy by the name of John Costello who probably could go out on tour. You need people who can lighten up the situation, and we have always had 4 or 5 guys that were very good at that.
Yeah, and you got to pull yourselves out of those slumps, right? I think the Birds did it this year too. They were in kind of a little bit of a slump, and then they rattled off 10 in a row. So,
that's in talking about this club, I think that one of the things that has happened with this club, it creates stagnation. Stagnation is bad in the game, and I think it wasn't just here in St. Louis. I think it was baseball as a whole. You lost the art of bunting, the art of running. Speed is a constant. And when you have good speed, you can always put pressure on a defense. And I think that this club has found itself in that if you put pressure on the defense, you can make more things happen. So they're not as stagnated anymore. They're playing more of the game that we grew up.
Back to the basics.
Back to the basics. For a long time we've talked about swinging up on the ball. When you swing up on a ball, your average goes down. But when you swing down on the ball, your average goes up. So you look at averages today as opposed to the last 4 or 5 years, and you realize that there's been the thought process has changed. I think the new hitting instructor that they have here is an old school guy who teaches the coefficient of restitution. When you hit the ball, you get your backspin. That gives you carry. Yeah. And I think that's one of the big things that has happened here.
Thank you, everybody, for watching this episode of Behind the BackFlip, where we were joined by Ozzie Smith, the Wizard. As a reminder, please smash that subscribe button, hit the like button, and comment below on anything you would like us to cover in future episodes or anything that may have interested you in this episode. And as always, please go to www.beckflavors.com, where you can subscribe to our monthly newsletter and keep up with all the happenings here at Beck Flavors and BackFlip. Thanks again, Ozzie. Appreciate you joining us.
All right, Mike. Thanks for having me.
No problem.